Good Charlotte are the hugely successful pop-punk band formed in 1996 by identical twin brothers Benji and Joel Madden. Taking their name from a children's book, their blend of punk-inspired pop hooks and candid lyrics has resonated with ardent young fans for over a decade. Together with their school friend Paul Thomas on bass and guitarist Billy Martin, the band's 4 studio albums to date have sold almost 10 million copies around the world, catapulting them from modest Maryland roots to global stardom. It seemed an unlikely beginning for future rock stars when Benji and Joel, then just 16, turned to music when their father walked out on the family. Inspired by artists such as Green Day and the Beastie Boys, they formed a band with school friends Paul Thomas and Aaron Escalopio, and despite their inexperience, their raw enthusiasm and energy saw them win over fans in the rural suburbs of their hometown, Waldorf.
It was kind of like we tried to play sports for a long time.
Okay.
Really wanted to be an athlete all my life, basically, and then kind of failed miserably for a long time at it. And then one day I turned on the radio and I heard Green Day when I was like 15, and I just wanted to be in a band.
Like Good Charlotte always said they were from Waldorf, but in my opinion, it was like they were always from Annapolis. They always played acoustic in Annapolis, and they always played full band in Annapolis. They weren't really doing a lot of shows in Waldorf. I mean, yeah, that's where they hailed from, that's where they were born, that's where they were raised. But, I mean, I played one show in Waldorf and was like, not coming back. There was nothing.
In contrast to the limited opportunities available to bands in rural Waldorf, nearby state capital Annapolis has, over the years, developed a reputation for a thriving and eclectic music scene.
The Annapolis area in general is a small town with big city ideas. Being so close to Baltimore and DC, you get a lot of different bands from different areas, basically. The music scene is very eclectic down here. It always has been. It's something that's driven Annapolis for many, many years.
There's a really, really good underground work ethic. There are people from all styles of music who represent this area in a great fashion. Everything from like acoustic singer-songwriter stuff straight on up to the Good Charlotte punk rock kind of stuff. I mean, there's a palette and a taste for everybody. I mean, the music community is really strong. Hopefully the town of Annapolis one day will wake up and really understand that and open more places to play. It's really tough to play.
The Annapolis music scene, there's not really a lot of places to play, you know, especially for rock bands. It's more of an acoustic, you know, duo kind of a little pub scene, whereas you have DC and Baltimore that have totally different kinds of scenes. And at the time, like especially in the late 80s, early 90s, it was very cover band oriented, where you could get a lot of gigs if you played other people's songs, but if you played original music, you really couldn't.
Annapolis is an interesting town. I mean, it's interesting. It's an old city by American standards. You know, there are buildings there that go back centuries. And then again, it's placed, you know, in an equilateral triangle, as it were, between Baltimore and DC. And it's in the east, so you've got access to a lot of population. There are 3 major airports, so you can get to anywhere in the world very quickly, non-stop pretty much to anywhere. But not only that, you can drive 2 hours and be in Philly. You know, you can drive 45 minutes Baltimore, 45 minutes DC, and within 4 hours you're in New York and Pittsburgh and a whole bunch of other places. So it's kind of a good place for a band to be.
For its relatively small population, Annapolis has seen more than its fair share of musical success, not least of which from alternative indie rock band Jimmie's Chicken Shack. Hearing of their success, Good Charlotte began gigging at local venues and making contacts in the music scene, and was soon convinced that they should move away from Waldorf and into Naptown.
Where they come from, the plate of Waldorf, there's not really a music scene down there, so when they caught wind of what was going on up here, Jimmie Haha was open arms about bringing them into the scene. He knew immediately, especially when Jimmie's Chicken Shack was doing super duper good, he was instrumental in introducing them to what's going on up here. And I think when that happened, that's when they made the jump and said, hey, we want to do this for real. Let's come to Annapolis and get a foothold. And that's when the whole ball started rolling.
My name's Jimmie Haha, and I play in a band called Jimmie's Chicken Shack. I've been playing music in like the Maryland, DC area, well, since the late 80s. And I started a record label, I guess in the early 90s for when Jimmie's Chicken Shack started, and it was called Foul Records, and just put out local bands, original music.
Jimmie's Chicken Shack was huge, you know, and he built it up a grassroots thing where he kept it local too, you know. He never moved it to LA, he never moved it to New York, he kept it here. It was all about Naptown.
We kind of lived in what I would call the heyday of the Annapolis music scene anyway, when Jimmie's Chicken Shack and you know, Bovox Clown and a bunch of bands that were like on the cusp of making it and got on MTV and did their thing but never hit it huge.
Jimmie had been there, done that. He'd been signed, he'd been through the ringer with labels, knew it all, and at that point was able to just coach Good Charlotte in some things they should do and help them record their first record. In the CD that I have here, it says thanks to Jimmie at Foul because he helped them.
With his own success and industry experience, Jimmie Ha-Ha was ideally placed to spot the potential when a friend working at Acme Bar and Grill mentioned seeing the twins' acoustic performance at their open mic night.
My name's Troy. I've been bartending in Annapolis for 13 years. Guess I'm pretty known in this little community as the bartender. I worked at Acme Bar and Grill, and I used to book the band, the entertainment there, so we would cram as many people as we could into Acme to see any band that happened. It was essential for musicians to have a place to play music, and once they did, Acme became that place, I guess. And these two kids came in, and they were adorable, and they were fun, and everybody loved them. They were silly and talented. And they played maybe 5, 6 songs, I guess, that night, and everybody loved it. I loved it.
That's kind of how I met the kids. I went out and saw them play, and then ever since then, we've just kind of been like, I'm brothers, really. I mean, they're just good friends.